Well, greetings and welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of Spiritual Practices for Tough Times. It's lovely to be with you again as we continue our journey in these times, and I hope you are as well as you can be today as you join me, whether here live right now or later on in the day as you have time to watch these episodes. We are filming live today from McKillop United Church in Lethbridge, Alberta, and it's day 14 from our clock of social distancing. I can't believe that 2 weeks have gone by. Sometimes it feels like every minute and every hour is this stretched out time. But here we are, and so I hope you are continuing to practice good social distancing, that you're not gathering with too many people, that you're 6 feet away, because the more we do right now, the more lives we can save and the less stress we can put on our healthcare system here and wherever you're listening. The news headlines today in the Globe and Mail is that 4 million are expected to tap crisis relief as we continue along. They are really tough times. I was reading in the paper that the arts centers in Calgary are laying off between 70 and 80% of people. And so as we go on with this, I'm reminded of this comic from The Mind Geek. It's more than a comic. It's really a poignant point to help us work with these tough times. It's a mental note. It says there's a fine line between informed plus overload. Please mind your mind too. I'm finding that I'm starting to limit how much news and information I take in. And so really, for all of us, it's a reminder that please be careful for not overloading your heart and mind with all the information, because we're part of a 24-hour news cycle. There are all these updates, there's all these rumors, and one way to be really gentle with ourselves is to start to limit how much information we're taking in. And only you can know how much is right for you. But if you start watching shows or the news or your tablet or reading stuff online and you're feeling that energy just start to vibrate and you're feeling your blood pressure go up or you're starting to shut down and be dumb, maybe those are signals that it's time to take a break. Because as we go about this day by day in this marathon, really things aren't changing that much. We need to live our lives. We need to wake up in the morning, have our tea and coffee and breakfast, and then go about our day and do things that start to feed ourselves and then, get ready to go to bed and start the next day again. As I went out this morning out into our backyard, I love to look at our tulips, and they're a reminder to me that life is going on, and each and every day there is new growth, even in the midst of this change and these tough times and trying to work through that. And I encourage you too, in your own place that you live, maybe to find somewhere that you can go out every day and just observe those things that are changing. So as we gather today, I'm going to again light our candle as a reminder that we are completely enveloped by sacred light. And sacred light is within you and me and in these tough times. It's a reminder for us to take a moment sometimes and take a breath and sense that sacred light or flow in our lives. And as always, I love to have a cup of tea with you. It's a reminder that even though we're not physically together, we are together by communion, that there again is this flow and presence that connects all of us. And as we join together today in this episode, we are connected. We are connected by this presence and love that holds us. It may not protect us from what's happening, but it unexplainably sustains us through these times. So how are you feeling? If it's all right with you, I'll say that I have my moments that are okay and then my moments are not okay. I have my moments where I feel anxiety. I think my cheeks are a little hot and I go get my thermometer and stick it in and notice that I'm 36 degrees Celsius, even though I'm really distancing and isolating myself other than these episodes that we're doing together. And there's times when I do see moments of beauty and joy. So I was going to suggest we begin our time with our breathing practice, where we intentionally, as you prepare for it, we sit down in our chair, or maybe you're lying in bed at the end of the day, and we just allow ourselves to come into our body. So I'm going to start the practice with the ringing of our meditation bell. I'll speak to you for a few moments just to get us into our bodies in this time, and then we'll have a time of silence as we each breathe in our separate spaces. You might do it by counting your inhalation and exhalation. You might do fourscore breathing, or you might just simply breathe. And whenever you find yourself being grabbed onto by a thought or an emotion or some noise or sensation that's bothering you, you might just let go of that and come back to your breathing. So let us begin this time as we join together in this moment of breathing practice. So you might want to close your eyes now and just gently rest in your body. Then as we breathe, take a deep breath in. And then let it go. And then as you feel each breath, I invite you just to feel yourself being more present in your body. So that you feel from the top of your head to your pinky toe on your feet. And allow your breath just to help you let go into this present moment, no matter what is happening, no matter how you feel, no matter what yourself is nattering away or suggesting. Just breathe and be here, now, in this moment. And as you take a few more breaths, as you feel your body, let your mind rest in your heart, which is open to the present moment. What do you feel grateful for just now, just here? And as you open your eyes, where does that gratitude lead you to see, just in this moment, joy or beauty? How do you feel in your body now? Is your mind a bit quieter? Do you sense the underlying calm that's always with us? For me, as I breathed in this moment, as I breathed with you, there was a second I felt this gratitude. I felt this gratitude for life. Even in the midst of all the tough times, I know that, and I believe, and I could be wrong, but we're all going through a lot right now. And I hope you find solace that we are all suffering, that there is only one suffering and there's only one joy, and we participate in both. And I hope that helps you realize that you're not alone. You're not alone. And that these sessions of spiritual practice for tough times are to help us find ways where we can find ways to center into how we're not alone, and how that even in our suffering, that we can find ways to find joy and beauty, and that we can find ways to hold both and let both be. So today I'd like to talk to you about peace. Because part of any spiritual practices is often we do them so that we can find peace. And peace is really important. How do we find peace as we meander our way through these journeys of COVID-19 and these economic times? And beyond that, we just have our normal life. We may have just lost someone we loved very dear. We may have our own current issues with health of our body or our emotions or our spiritual health. Maybe we've been having conflict with the people we live. There's just normal life. We have all of this going on, and how do we find peace? Well, peace is something that we do not possess, but we have to learn to flow with it. This is what I believe. This is my opinion. This is what the wisdom of our Christian lineage and all the great religious traditions and their lineages talks to us. It reminds me of this clip from Seinfeld, where they're exploring what peace or serenity is.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
What is that?
Doctor gave me a relaxation cassette. When my blood pressure gets too high, the man on the tape tells me to say, Serenity now!
To you, pal?
Joey Sanfino and some of the neighborhood kids, they ambushed me with a box of grade A's.
Are you all right?
Oh, no, not fine, fine. Serenity now. Serenity now, serenity now.
So you're using Frank's relaxation method?
Jerry, the anger, it just melts right off. Serenity now. Serenity now.
Hey, what happened to you?
Serenity.
Serenity now thing doesn't work. Just bottles up the anger and then eventually you blow.
What do you know? You were in the nut house.
What do you think put me there?
I heard they found a family in your freezer.
Serenity now. Insanity later.
What happened here, Kramer?
Serenity now, serenity now.
Kramer!
Jerry, I didn't hear you come in. Yeah, the children, they've done some redecorating.
You don't look well.
Huh? Oh, well, that's odd because I feel perfectly at peace with the world. Hey, Eggs, you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look at me. I stepped on your last rose.
Jerry, come on. Don't get so upset about it. There's always next spring. Would you excuse me for a moment?
Serenity now!
I did it! I beat Braun! Come on, look at the computer.
I told you to clean up this garage. I have to put my car in.
This is a place of business. I told you never to come in here. Serenity now!
All right.
Dad, you really should lay off the Serenity Now stuff.
So, what am I supposed to say?
Hoochie Mama?
Oh, get crap! I'm in there!
No, you're not! Hoochie Mama! Hoochie Mama!
Wouldn't that be wonderful? You could just go, serenity now. And everything would be better. COVID-19, serenity now. Or there's no more Lysol wipes at the Safeway or Costco, serenity now. So often, I think our world wants to teach us that if we can find serenity, peace, if we just have the right way. But the reality is this, is we do not find peace by force or effort. We can't just make peace happen. If you look around the world, when there's conflict in a region, what they do is they try and separate people, and then you just keep them separate by force. But generation after generation go by, and there's no peace. Or it's like in Seinfeld, you're just by saying the magic word, serenity now, that somehow that will happen. Or sometimes we think we can find peace in ourselves by we just shove down everything we don't like. We shove down the anxiety, we shove down the anger, we shove down the fear, we shove down all the negative stuff by force, and we just think we'll walk around like magnificent holy people and have serenity and peace. But then it comes out, a small little thing happens and we explode. So, and also we often think we can get peace by effort. If I just think the right way, if I just do the right thing, and we can often do that with spiritual practices, and often we give them up because after we do these spiritual practices, we think they're not working. And the other thing we do with peace and trying to get peace is if we just have the right stuff. If I can just buy the right stuff, if I can just live the right life, I can have all this stuff, then we'll have peace. And we're finding with our, the COVID-19 and these terrible economic times, is that all this stuff isn't helping us find peace. The clue to finding peace is really paradoxical. It's letting go. It's letting go into here and now, and letting go and accepting just who we are, what's happening inside of us, and what's happening around. That is what spiritual practices offer us. And this Headspace video talks about the quality and the experience and what it means to let go in a spiritual practice or meditation, but also if we could have that awareness when everything's happening for us in our life too.
We're always taught the more effort we put in, the more we'll get out of life. But of course this isn't always true. Take falling asleep, for example. You can prepare in the right way, put yourself in the right position, and get yourself comfortable. But after that, well, you can't force it to happen, right? In fact, it works exactly the other way around. The harder you try, the less sleepy you become. It's only when we stop trying that we finally let go and drift off. And before we know it, we're waking up the next morning feeling refreshed, relaxed, after a good night's sleep. And it's a very similar story when we're training the mind. I think a nice metaphor for this is the idea of taming a wild horse. If you look at how a wild horse is tamed, rather than pinning it down in one place, the horse is led out on a very long rope and put in a big open spacious field. The horse runs around feeling like it's got all the space in the world. But very slowly, the rope's pulled in, and the horse adjusts to this feeling until it comes to a natural place of rest. And we're looking to do just the same thing with the mind in meditation. Not trying to pin it down in one place, but bringing it to a natural place of rest. So let go of any idea of needing to achieve something or get somewhere, and instead enjoy the opportunity to sit back, relax, and be present in the world.
So this is the invitation of how we cultivate and find peace. It's not by force or effort, other than the effort of consciously choosing in the moment to let go. It's not what we've been taught in our world. We've been taught that we become successful by accumulating or effort or all those ways or force. This is like a simple just letting go. And what are we letting go in to find peace? Well, in our Christian lineage, we often say we're letting go into the present moment. And this present moment we say is God. And Richard Rohr has this wonderful definition of God, or what God is, or where God is, and it's this. God is just a word for reality with a face. I love that. God is just a word for reality with a face. So what we're letting go into is this. We're letting into this reality that is always one, that holds all our suffering and all our joy and beauty, and holds us just as we are, and holds us with a tenderness and loving. Another way to think of the word God is not an object, but a subject. Or think of it this way for this word God. God is not a noun, something that you can possess or something that you get by effort or force, but God is a verb. It's a flow. Or another way to think of it is God is a direction, a flow. And so to find peace and to work with reality, the totality of the reality, not trying to push reality away or make it better or worse, is to let go. And often what we're letting go in then is this moment of total acceptance and love, just as the way it is. That there is actually within me and you and us another presence, a presence that includes and transcends us, that invites us to wake up into how we can live life as a flow. Philomena Hertz, who's a Gravity Center co-founder, talks about this voice, this voice of love in this way.
Contemplative practice, contemplative prayer really helps us to begin to quiet our minds and hearts in such a way that we can hear this voice calling us the beloved. So, like Jesus, like we learn from Jesus, if he's the archetype of humanity, the voice that he heard calling him the beloved is the same voice calling us the beloved. We are invited into that same journey, that same story of learning that we also are beloved. But the problem is that too often life distracts us from that voice. We're so busy and we have a lot of frenetic activity and we're always plugged in and we don't know how to unplug and detach from all of life that threatens to keep us from hearing that voice. All the other voices, we're so consumed, right, with all the other voices that try to tell us who we are. Henry Nouwen taught us that there are these 3 lies we often listen to, right? That I am what I have, I am what I do, I am what others say about me. And those voices are the ones that predominantly affect our normal active life. And so to quiet down and to be still and to cultivate silence and solitude gives us a chance to transcend all those other voices that try to define us and listen to that voice that we come from that calls us beloved. To the degree that I know I am loved, I can then love others. The less I am connected to that love for myself, the less able I am to love freely, unconditionally, lavishly with others. And so Jesus said that the greatest commandment is to love God and to love our neighbor as ourself. I think we have, in Western Christianity, I think we've done a really good job of trying to love our neighbor and trying to love God without having any sense of self-love. And the greatest commandment is to love God and love neighbor as ourself. And so contemplative prayer, contemplative practice is absolutely essential to accessing that love of self so that that love can then be given through us to others. But without that connection to the source of our belovedness, we project onto the world our own ideas of what we think love is. We have our own agendas for how to make the world a better place. And oftentimes those attempts are lacking in effectiveness. And too often we then try to take better care of everyone else than we're taking care of ourselves. And there's an incongruence there with love. So loving self, learning to love self, learning to access that divine love that calls us the beloved, enables us to let that love flow through us. And to the degree that we're transformed, the world is transformed.
So to find peace and love, it's not by effort, it's not by force, it's this practice of letting go. Letting go so you can hear, as she said, maybe another voice that calls you beloved in the midst of all of your reality just as it is. That you don't have to be any different or anybody other than who you are, other than the practice of letting go. And we don't have to listen to all these other voices that are pushing and pulling us, but just to be present. It's really countercultural. But these tough times are sort of inviting us to wake up to different ways to be. That's how I hear it. I don't know how you hear it. And one way that you might love yourself, and then by loving yourself, you might be more present to yourself and then whoever you're with, even if you're by yourself or alone, it might allow you then to find a more steady peace, or a peace that's presence, or a peace that passes all effort and force and understanding. It's by having a spiritual practice. We have a lot of time right now as we're social distancing. This is the best time to start to develop some of these things in these tough times. I'd like to suggest this to you. Consider this. Maybe you might like to start your day or end your day, or maybe at lunchtime, by having a candle that you light. You have a candle that you light to signify that's a time where you're going to practice letting go. You might even pour yourself a cup of tea. And then you might try some of these different spiritual practices we're doing, or other ones that you know of, like yoga, or more traditional meditation, or mantra practices. There's a whole bunch out there. You could go on Google or on your internet and find thousands. And then you might spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Or as the wisdom teachers in the Christian lineage say, you might do 20 minutes twice a day if you like to be really keen. And then you might practice this. And you might do this day after day. It's an experiment. But my hunch is if you do it without looking for results, without looking for us to be different, that actually how your day goes will be different. So I'd like us now to practice that, to practice how we can let go and find peace. And so I'm going to lead you in a guided meditation around the practice of what I call wind mindfulness practice. It's where I'll lead you in a guided meditation where in that there will be the sound of the wind, and as you have a thought or feeling cessation, I'll just invite you to let them go into the wind, to let go, to let be, to let God, which is another word for reality, all of reality with a face, just be you and with you and beyond you. So let us begin. I'll ring my meditation bell. I'll invite you just for a moment to put your feet on the ground and take a couple deep breaths. And then I invite you to imagine to yourself to be on a beach. Maybe you have a favorite beach you've been before. And then to start to hear the sounds of the beach. To hear the wind, and the animals, and the waves. To take a couple deep breaths. Just imagine that you can feel the beach beneath you as you sit on the beach. You can feel the sand in your toes if you're barefoot, that grit. You feel the warm sunshine upon your face and your body. You feel the gentle breeze coming off the ocean or the sea or the lake, or if you're by a river. Just let go into the experience. Know that reality, divine, God, sacred flow, presence, holds you unexplainably. And no matter what's happening in all your thoughts or in your life right now, in this moment, where you are, it's okay. It really is. And as you start to feel distracted or start to cling to whatever thoughts or emotions or perceptions you hear around you start to come up, and you cling to them, and you find yourself not on the beach and with the wind and the ocean, waves, just let go and take a breath. Let all of what you cling to gently float away on the wind that's gently you feel on your face. Just imagine all that just blowing away on the wind, gently, without judgment, without feeling bad about yourself, without saying, oh, I can't do this. This is too hard. Just let it go. Just be here now. Just let your thoughts and your emotions, whatever distracts you for this moment, just imagine it going away on the breeze. It's fluttering around you. It's tickling your face. It's just inviting you to be. I hope you know that this experience that we're having, that you can have any time. Part of my hope, if you're listening to these spiritual practices for tough times, is that you will allow yourselves to remember these moments of practice, and if you find yourself in a tough place, that you'll take a second. You'll take a second to just stop, to sit down, to take some breaths, and allow yourself to use these things to find peace, or love by just letting go into the moment and being with reality with a face, all of reality. In closing, it reminds me of this poem. I hope you experienced this over the weekend, this poem. I hope you, until we meet again next Tuesday. It's called Love After Love, and it's by Derek Walcott. The time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, "Sit here, eat." You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give time, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you. All your life whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart, take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes, peel your image from the mirror, sit, feast on your life. Sit, feast on your life. This is the invitation that is being given to us all our life. Maybe this is what peace and love look like. Even in these tough times, no matter what is happening for you, we're being invited to be present to the miracle of life, even in its fragility, even when our hearts might be torn open, because the miracle of life, the presence of God, the presence of peace and love hold everything and tell us, as Julian of Norwich experienced through the Black Plague, that all shall be well. All shall be well, and all manners of things shall be well, she said, if we can just let go and trust in the flow of life. Thanks for being with me today. I hope some wisdom has come to you from this, and may you be blessed. Take care.